Hello everyone, good morning, good evening, good afternoon. I hope all of you are doing good. This is going to be a very important market update in my personal opinion because a lot many things have happened during the past 1 week or so. We had the pullback down to, for example, 65, 66, and we had this amazing buyback happening from 65K all the way up to 72K. And we're literally sitting just almost like $2,000 away. I guess it's 2000 or I guess $1,500 away from the last all-time high, which means that this is a very important level, right? So I would request all of you to please watch this video if you're watching this recorded live stream because we are going to upload it over my YouTube channel also. So if you're watching it over YouTube channel, so please make sure to watch it till the end because I would try my best to explain a few important things related to the Bitcoin update and the altcoin update as well. All right. And if you guys may have any questions, make sure to drop them in the chat box. I will try to get back to you as soon as I'm done with the general market update. All right. When pump, okay, we are already pumping, by the way, in case you missed it. Uh, okay, so all of you would already know this thing. I would like to basically start with the good news. There isn't really any bad news, to be honest, because the USDT dominance chart I would like to start with. So we already had a break below this very important support level, which means that if the USDT dominance chart it was staying above this support area, then I may have said that okay, there is some bad news. But I would like to start with this very important update that the USDT dominance chart, you would notice that this is the support area for the USDT dominance chart and this is the resistance area for the USDT dominance chart, which means that as of now, we are currently sitting in the middle of nowhere, which means there is every possibility that on the Bitcoin chart, we could have a move towards the upside. And you can actually see that I have an alert set around here on the USDT dominance chart, which means as soon as it would fall back down to this higher time frame support, that's when I would say that okay, now Bitcoin is going to have a small pullback or something like that. But it's a very good idea to just take into account everything related to the USDT dominance chart also, because during the past 1 month or so, I have noticed this thing that Bitcoin has not been dictated mainly by the actual Bitcoin chart, but more by but the audio seems to be working fine. If you guys are having any issue, please make sure to just disconnect and join again, right? Okay, sound is working fine. Okay, so we have seen this thing happening during the past 2 to 3 weeks, that the chart it's being or the price for the Bitcoin it's being dictated mostly by the USDT dominance chart, or it could simply just be the fact that the confluences that I personally use, they were not really able to they were not really able to decipher whatever the moves are happening on the Bitcoin chart. But in my personal opinion, the USDT dominance chart, it was much more predictable. The only move that I would say was a predictable one on the Bitcoin chart was this simple breakout, right? If you guys remember, and if you have been actively following my updates in my channel, in the Sherlock Market Updates channel, you would know that when we had this move towards upside back on 25th of October, right? And then we had this crazy drop from 68,700 all the way down to 65,700. We had the news about, USDT FUD, and then we had news about, Israel's attack on Iran, right? At that time, I did mention, although we had this crazy rejection of this trend line, but I was the one mentioning that it's a good thing. The good news is that the formation of trend line that has been confirmed. And if the formation of trend line has been confirmed, then this simply would just mean that the next time price would go back, there is a high probability it's going to have a break towards upside. It's going to be a very volatile break. Okay, we have seen this happening in the past every now and then, that whenever these kind of trend lines are in formation, there would be this one touch, there would be this second touch, there would be this third touch, and finally, we would have a break above the trend line, a very impulsive break, because know this thing that usually a lot many people who are taking their short positions, they would be placing their stops just above the highs, and usually price would go up, liquidating all of these positions. I need not to go into the details of that because we already discussed this every now and then during the live streams, right? And this live stream, I mainly want to focus on what exactly could be happening in the future. So an immediate idea First of all, $72,000 region, it's a very strong level, right? Because strong level I say because if you would just go back and even on the daily time frame chart, you would notice that this is a very strong resistance area. Although it's never really a good idea to draw these support and resistance levels using horizontal levels, horizontal line. But instead, what you can do is that you could simply just use the rectangle tool, and you would notice that we had this first rejection, second rejection, and we had the multiple rejections of this 72K to 73K region, which means this is a very important level, right? And in any case, we need to see a full reclaim of this level. So before you go long, Bitcoin is telling you that the Bitcoin chart is telling you that it's sitting at a very strong resistance area. The equal highs have already been taken out. I have been saying this for the past 2 to 3 months that any kind of long position that you are taking, be it at around 62, 63, 64, 65, set your TP around 72K. The reason for this is because 72K we had equal highs. And we know that, all those people who would have taken their short positions based on these equal highs, they would have set their stop losses just above these equal highs. And, at some point in time, price would go back and just take out these equal highs, right? Usually what happens is that because there is a significant liquidity present above the equal highs and below the equal lows, price would simply just wick above these regions and then fall back down, right? In this case, since there is a lot of buying pressure coming in from the market buys mainly, I would say, so, saying that we would only have a wick above 72K and then we would immediately fall back down is not really a good idea in my personal opinion. We can see a move towards, upside towards 73K, even towards 77K and $80,000 region as well. Before we move into, talking about something else, let me be very clear on this thing that the next 8 to 10 days are going to be extremely important. We have we have so many things coming up. For example, on Tuesday 5th of November we have elections coming up in US, then we have unemployment data coming up on Friday, then we have jobless claims coming up on Friday, then we have so many other important events, right? It was somewhere around here on the chart, I just forgot about it, but you can just go to the forexfactory.com. This is a website and you can check the economic calendar and you would notice that there are so many important events coming up in this week, and obviously in the next week we have the US elections, right, which are definitely going to have a big impact, and that's why we are seeing this pump as well. So make sure that you are not using high leverage, and in my personal opinion we could have a very similar move that we saw happening back in the first 2 weeks of January. So the ETF, it got approved back on 10th of January, and we had this crazy drop from $46,000 region back to $40,000 region just in a matter of few minutes, although it was an immediate buyback. But many people actually got liquidated just almost like 4 or 5 days before the ETF approval. So there could be a similar move happening. So be very careful, in terms of whatever you are doing, because know this thing that the Bitcoin chart, it's sitting at a strong resistance area. It could have a small move towards upside, but until and unless you see a full reclaim of this level, meaning a break above, a consolidation above, and then a retest of this level, you cannot say that you should be taking a long position, right? The reason why I'm emphasizing that there could be a break towards upside, there is every possibility, because once again I would like to repeat that the USDT dominance chart, it's currently sitting in the middle of nowhere. The Bitcoin chart, it could be sitting at a strong resistance area, but the price moves on the Bitcoin chart recently, they have been dictated more and more by the USDT dominance chart. And in this case, we just had a break below this important support level. Now it has flipped into a resistance area. We are consolidating in this case. And now, as long as it is sitting somewhere in the middle of nowhere, you have the opportunity that, okay, Bitcoin is going to go up. As soon as it falls back down to this higher time frame support, it's not a very strong support level. But in any case, this is the next support area for USDT dominance, and every possibility that it would fall back down to this region. And if I just calculate this for you, because unlike BTC USDT.3L chart and BTC USDT.3S chart, these two charts, USDT dominance chart and the Bitcoin chart, they're in perfect sync with each other, meaning that if any of these two charts would go, let's say 2% up, then the other one would also go like 2% up or 2% down, right? They are negatively correlated, meaning that if one would go down, the other one would go up. But in this case, you would notice that if I just imagine that there could be a bounce happening from this area, so there is at least an expectation that the price on the USDT dominance chart, it would go at least 1.56% down. And if I calculate this for the Bitcoin chart, there is a possibility that from the current market price, we could have a move of 1.56%, which means up to 73,000, at least up to 73,000, there could be a move happening. And the all-time high, if I'm not wrong, correct me please, it's somewhere around 73,850 or 73,880 on a few other exchanges, right? On Binance, I guess it's somewhere around 73,850 or 880, in between this range. So, there is an expectation that a move up to 72,800 that could be happening. And so, if you are the reason why I say that you need to be a little bit cautious is because, first of all, any move that's happening on Bitcoin chart, it's not directly going to impact whatever is happening with the altcoins, right? Because in this case, you can see that I just got the alert for APT. It had small move towards downside from $10, I guess. Yeah. So, on the APT chart, you would notice that we are having a small move towards downside immediately. Similar is going to be the case with the rest of the altcoins also, especially the ones that are not strong enough. Once again, the reason for this is the Bitcoin dominance chart. Now, I would suggest all of you to do this thing. As soon as the live stream ends, just go just go to YouTube and watch the last week's live stream, the video that I uploaded last week. In this video, the discussion basically, although the majority of the people, they watched the live streams over YouTube, very few of you were actually present in the Discord live stream, but you would notice that the discussion we started was basically from Bitcoin dominance. And that's when I was warning people that since the Bitcoin dominance, it's on continuous rise. Although most of you may think that Bitcoin dominance going up is not a good sign, but for a healthy rally, right, for a good move, for a more sustainable move, it's actually a good thing. So, overall, for the overall market conditions, it's a good thing that the Bitcoin dominance is going up, but in a short term, it's not really a good thing because, of course, if Bitcoin dominance is going up, then automatically the capital is flowing into Bitcoin and not the altcoins. And this would simply just mean that even if Bitcoin is going, if Bitcoin is going up, or if it's pumping, if the market is green, the altcoins, they are going to get dragged a lot. You may see that the strong ones, they are going up, maybe 10%, 15% move, but with the rest of the altcoins, you're not really going to see any crazy move. The one that you saw happening during the last 12 to 16 hours was mainly because Bitcoin dominance had a fall from 59.92 down to 59.95. So you can imagine that how important it is to not only look at the Bitcoin chart, but focus on rest of these 2-3 charts as well, especially Bitcoin dominance if you are mainly focused on altcoins. So this small rally, for example, we had a move up 15% on SUI chart. We had the long position open for PRCL. We had a move up 16%. Then a few other charts also, FTM, cat in a dog's world. We had PopCat. Most of these altcoins, they went like 15%, 20% up during the last 12 to 16 hours. Once again, the main reason was because USDT dominance, it had a move towards downside. But in a longer run, it's a good thing if we are supposed to have a good rally in the upcoming next 2-3 months, a more sustainable move, then it's a good thing that the capital is flowing into Bitcoin and the Bitcoin dominance is going up. So basically, if you're waiting for the altcoin rally, the Bitcoin dominance chart is the one that you need to look at. And you would want Bitcoin dominance to top around maybe 62%, 63%. And you would want Bitcoin to create a new all-time high. So if I just picturize this whole thing for you, then Bitcoin dominance going up to maybe 62%, 63%, Bitcoin creating a new all-time high, and being sustainable around those prices, 73,000, 74,000, and that's when going to be the time when these altcoins, they would go crazy, right? The fate for the altcoins, it's not only going to be decided by Bitcoin dominance, but another important chart that you need to take a look at is basically the total 2 chart. So in this case, the reason why I'm saying that you need to be a little bit cautious on opening too many long positions as of now is because the total 2 chart, it's still trading under this major resistance area. We had rejection, which means that until and unless we see a full reclaim of this level, nothing really is going to happen. So this is a complete story. If you're waiting for an altcoin rally, Bitcoin dominance needs to top around 62%, 63%, and it needs to drop down. Bitcoin creating a new all-time high, maybe around 75%, 76%. And actually you can see that I'm getting little too many alerts, which means most of these altcoins, they're dropping. Although Bitcoin is around 72,000, these altcoins, they are dropping, and you can actually see that how direct this impact is. And you can just imagine what would happen if the price drops, let's say $1,000, $1,500 down from here. Bitcoin dominance, it's already increasing. So this is going to be a perfect recipe for disaster. So if you are entering into too many long positions around current market prices, I'm talking about the positions that are on CMP, then you need to be just a little bit careful. Make sure to TP some of your positions close 75%, 50%. You're going to have a lot many other opportunities also, right? It's not the end of the world. So many times we have seen Bitcoin going up to 72k, 73k. Every time it goes up to 72k, 73k, we get to hear the same talk, right? That this time it's going to be different. Obviously, I still believe that this time it's going to be, I still myself believe that this time it's going to be different. This time we will definitely create a new all-time high around 77k, 78k, maybe $80,000 region as well. But that does not mean that you need not to TP your position, right? It's always a good idea to TP your positions because so many factors, in my opinion, are involved. And this is a chart that I wanted to take a look at. No, I guess, okay, so you have all these important events coming up, right? You have unemployment rate, you have non-farm payroll, then you have GDP growth rate. So if you would go to forexfactory.com, this is a website, and you would check the economic calendar, then you would notice that once again so many important events are coming up in this week. And obviously next week on Tuesday we have US elections also. So total two chart we just talked about, it's still trading under this major resistance area. So it's a good time, in my personal opinion, to TP some of your positions, because if it once again drops down from here, having strong rejection of this resistance area, then it's not gonna look good. Okay, but the good thing about this chart is that I say this, I mentioned this a lot many times during my live streams also, that if price is hitting into a level over and over again, and the retracements are getting smaller, then obviously that level is about to break. So in this case, price hit into this strong resistance area. We had moved towards downside. This was a bigger move. Then once again hit into this resistance area. We had another move towards downside. Once again hit into this resistance area. We had another move downside. So in all three cases, you can actually see that every time we are hitting into this resistance area, it's basically getting weaker and weaker. The reason for this is because these retracement moves, they're getting smaller and smaller. So we are on the edge of having a big move on altcoins, and they are literally going to go parabolic, right? From here, we are going to have a crazy move. And most of you were not present during the last bull run. You don't know how exactly a bull run looks like. You would buy any XYZ coin. I'm not talking about shitcoin, but any XYZ coin, you would buy it, and the next day you would wake up and see it's 50% up, it's 70% up, it's 60% up. So every single coin, left, right, center, they're going to go 60%, 70% up. That's the perfect definition of an altcoin rally. That's the perfect definition of a bull run, right? You can imagine that we're already sitting very close to the all-time high, but you have not seen anything crazy happening with the altcoins. Once again, the reason for this is the total 2 chart, and the reason for this is the Bitcoin dominance chart, because the Bitcoin dominance chart, it's going crazy. Most of the capital, it's flowing into Bitcoin, and unlike the previous situations, unlike the previous years, because we have seen that we have seen this thing happening because of the ETFs. Because of the ETF approval, it's kind of very obvious that most of the capital, it's going to flow into Bitcoin, right? But the moment you see Bitcoin creating a new all-time high, people are going to lose their interest in Bitcoin. They would start rotating their capital from Bitcoin into these altcoins. So all these narratives, they're going to have their rallies. You just need to have all these narratives written down, all these coin names written down. So you talk about AI, you talk about DeFi, you talk about liquid staking derivatives, you talk about any other narrative, right? We have so many other narratives. The popular ones are AI, you have the RWA narrative, and then there is this third one, I just forgot the name of it, but so meme coin. So all 3-4 popular narratives, you can simply just note down the names of these important coins. We have so many, like Popcat, Mew, we have PEP, we have Dodge. We know Dodge is already going crazy, but once again, the point here is that going long at this point or buying at this point may not really be a very wise idea, because historically speaking also, you would notice that you would have a break towards break above this resistance area, then you would have a small consolidation phase, and then you would have the retest phase, right? And this retest, And this one is going to basically provide you an opportunity to go long on basically everything. And somebody just mentioned in the chat that maybe total 2 is bearish. No, it's not bearish. Yeah, it's sitting at a resistance area, but it's very soon about to break above this resistance area. Although this is not a correct statement, as long as something is sitting at a resistance area, resistance is a resistance as long as price has not has not experienced a break above, and a support is a support as long as price is sitting above it. It's not a good idea to say that price is about to break above or break below a support region. But in this case, since the retracements are getting smaller and smaller and smaller, and we know that this is usually the pattern for every single bull run, right? You would have Bitcoin topping, you would have Bitcoin creating a new all-time high, then you would see people losing interest in Bitcoin, then you would see capital rotation happening from Bitcoin to altcoins in different narratives, right? The previous bull run, they were all together different kinds of narratives. We had DeFi, we had gaming, we had liquid staking derivatives, and so many other things, right? Layer 2s and everything. But in this case, we have all together different narratives. So you just need to pick your narrative carefully, and just need to invest in the right coin. But in my personal opinion, this is going to be long discussion, right? This live stream is turning out to be more of a discussion thing. But in my personal opinion, the important thing uh, in this bull run is going to be not about investing into the right coins or catching the right moves, because just like I mentioned, if we happen to see a good move, if we happen to see a good move on the total 2 chart, if we happen to see Bitcoin creating a new all-time high and Bitcoin dominance dropping down, obviously, just like I mentioned, every single coin, it's going to go crazy, left, right, center. The important thing is going to be when to exit, right? And this usually happens every single bull run. People know when to, people have an idea when to take the entry. People have an idea about the stop loss. People usually have the idea about the invalidation points. They sometimes forget about the invalidation points because everything usually goes crazy, but they have no idea when to exit their positions, right? So most of you would end up entering right at the top when everything is just about to fall back down, right? So this is what I'm warning you about, that in the next 2, 3, 4, 5 months, make sure that you have proper invalidation point set up. Make sure that you're not being greedy. Make sure that you're booking your profits carefully, and uh, you're not entering into too high leverage positions, right? Okay, so back to the Bitcoin chart. In this case, I just mentioned that we had equal highs at $72,000 region. These equal highs have already been taken out, but I still believe that there is a move towards upside, at least up to $72,800 region. The reason for this is the USDT dominance chart, because once again, it's it's still sitting in the middle of nowhere. We had this break below. Finally, we had this break below this very important support level, and now it's going to fall back down to this higher time frame support. And as long as it is sitting somewhere in the middle of nowhere, you have the opportunity that maybe you can just catch some small moves, right? The total 2 chart I've already talked about. I guess there is no point talking about the BTC USDT.3s and BTC USDT.3L charts, because it's kind of very obvious what exactly is going to happen with the with the Bitcoin chart in this context, right? So if you guys have any chart requests, please make sure to drop them in the chat box. I would try my best to respond to everything. In case I forgot about something, mentioning something, please make sure to just remind me, because there were so many things to talk about. Because we have to because we had to upload this video on YouTube as well, so I'm just trying my best to just keep it a little bit concise, keep it short, because people usually don't want to see a 1 hour 1.5 hour long update. That's why I'm just trying to keep it a bit short, right? I'm an ADA short. Okay, so if you're in any kind of short position, I'm giving you straight away a warning that just try to be a little bit careful, because I see a lot many people, they're stuck in short positions. I've not touched the short button for like last 2 to 3 weeks, because I know that market is on the edge of every single coin. The moment you see a Bitcoin dominance drop, the moment you see a break above total 2 chart, it's going to go crazy, right? So it's not a good idea to open any kind of short position. But in any case, I would take a look at the chart and let you know my opinion, right? But if you guys have any specific questions related to these charts, please make sure to let me know, right? This was actually a very good long position, at 60K, in my opinion, although, okay, so somebody asked me about, the difference between a breakout trader. and a retest trader. Okay, so basically I mentioned just a few hours ago, I shared an update saying that I'm not a breakout trader, I'm a retest trader, and I was referring to this chart for SUI. So in this case, you can see that although I was expecting this chart to go up, it was sitting somewhere around here, but still I did not enter into a long position because once again, uh, this is not something that suits my trading style. I'm not a breakout trader, and the only breakout trade that I've taken, in such a long time, the one was on this chart called Beefy Finance, the spot chart. Uh, the coin is only listed over Binance, and the second one probably in the past like 1 year or so. The second one was this one on the Bitcoin chart, right? And the only reason for taking this trade was because we had a very similar kind of break at this region, right? So we had the rejection of 66k, then we had another rejection around this trend line, then we had another rejection, a smaller rejection, and every time we were having the rejection, the retracements were getting smaller. So I simply did not want to miss out on the opportunity, and I was noticing that on the USDT dominance chart we were having continuous hits into this support region. And once again, the idea is very much similar. If price is hitting into a level over and over again and the retracements, they're getting smaller, then obviously it's time that price is about to break below or above that level. And in this case, there were so many other confluences also present. For example, this was the first retest, a huge move towards upside. Then we had this second move, which was a kind of a smaller move. Then this third move, which was kind of a very small move. And also you had this double top pattern, price perfectly retested the trend line. And how many of you are actually happy about MTF 200 EMA? I always talk about MTF 200 EMA, but this time you can notice that if I just turn off the rest of these things, and by the way, there is this another indicator that I'm not going to talk about, to be very honest, because I have saved something just for myself too. I did not, I actually don't really want to give out everything. There is this indicator that is just like MTF 200 EMA, but it's much more precise in my personal opinion. So I would just keep it for myself. But in any case, okay, so MTF 200 EMA, this is MTF 200 EMA. And we have not even made one pullback so far. This cannot go well. I don't know what exactly do you mean by, saying that the CME gap, it's somewhere around maybe 69K, 68K. Okay, so, I will be talking about the next support and resistance regions as well, using Fibs also. And by the way, if you guys are not aware about this, maybe like when we started this YouTube channel, almost like two to 3 months ago, I made this video about, the new all-time high predictions for Bitcoin using the using the Fib retracement levels. So that video, it was probably like 1 hour long. And in that video, I considered 4 or 5 very important fractals on the daily time frame chart. So if you would like to get an idea about where exactly we are headed towards, you can go and watch that video. That was a very important video, right? We considered little too many different fractals. I would try to get an idea in this live stream also, about where exactly we could be headed, or why exactly people are talking about 80,000 or 77,000, although there is no single, obviously there is no historical price action available in those regions, but why exactly are we talking about those spots? But in any case, this is the MTF 200 EMA. You can actually notice that we had the first rejection, we had the second rejection. When price was going back up to MTF 200 EMA, I did mention this to all of you that MTF 200 EMA, we have not seen a single instance at which MTF 200 EMA price failed to react at MTF 200 EMA at the time of first retest. So this was the first retest, this was the second retest, both of them being successful ones. And then we had this crazy drop towards downside. So you can see that how well do these things actually work. How well do these concepts of averages actually work, right? Okay, so somebody mentioned about the next levels, right? So in case, this is obviously crypto, right? Anything could be happening. This is trading, anything could be happening, anything could happen at any moment. So let's suppose that the USDT dominance chart, it just sees a quick buyback around this region. We see a move towards upside. You can actually notice that we had the first rejection of this level. We had this first rejection at 68.4K. Then we had rejection around 69K. Then we had this second rejection. Then we had this third rejection. Then we had this fourth rejection, which means that this 69.5K to 69K region, which we just flipped, it's a very important level. It was a resistance area. Now it has simply just changed into a support region. So somebody just mentioned that, you know, a pullback has not happened as of yet, so this move is not making any sense. But remember this thing, that we had a very similar break. You had a trend line in formation. You had price having strong rejection of 63.5k region. You had the first rejection, second rejection, third rejection, then the similar kind of trend line formation. We had this crazy break towards upside, and we did not come back and retest this level, right? We have not seen any kind of retest happening at 63.5k so far, although I had open long positions around here, but still we did not see any kind of retest happening at 63.5k. Okay, so you can, if you are saying that, this move is not making any sense just because a retest has not happened, this is a very common thing. We have seen this happening in the past also. So similar was the case here. Price having strong rejection of $69,000 region, then we had a very impulsive break towards upside. And for those of you who are actually premium members, and every now and then I would communicate in premium chat, they would remember this thing. They would remember me saying that the moment price goes up, the moment price breaks above all-time high, the moment price goes to 70,000, 71,000, 72,000, you are rarely going to get any opportunity to get long. You are rarely going to get any opportunity, or you are rarely going to have strong signs to enter into a long position. Because remember this thing, just last Friday, almost 3 to 4 days ago, we had FUD about USDT stablecoin. We had news about these important global events, global war or something like that. But still, just in a matter of 2-3 days, we are sitting very close to the all-time high. So once again, the point is that if the market makers, they need to create a new all-time high, if they have to make the price go up, then they wouldn't really want, or they wouldn't really wait for all of you to enter. They wouldn't really give you a very nice pullback, then make you enter at that pullback, and they would simply just make the price move towards upside. And that was exactly the reason why I went a little bit aggressive around $68,000 region, because once again, I'm not a breakout trader, I'm a retest trader. So ideally I should have waited for the breakout, and then I should have waited for the retest part. But in this case, you can see that, you can imagine that what would have happened if we were still waiting for the retest, right? And the reason why I did not wait for the retest was because at this time around, at this point, I failed to take a long position, although there was too many strong signs, in terms of 1 day 12 period exponential moving average, in terms of point of control, in terms of price heading into this resistance area over and over again. But I still failed to take a long position around this level. I still failed to give out a long position in public, because once again, I'm not a breakout trader, I'm a retest trader. And even though I still thought that, even though I had the idea that, okay, price is about to break above this trend line, above this resistance area, I still failed to take a long position. And I did not want to do that again. And that's why I just went a little bit aggressive and took the long position immediately at 68k. Because if you would just go back and look at the confluences that I mentioned during that trade, I mentioned that I failed to imagine, I refuse to imagine that with so many important events coming up, with so many important things coming up in the next 2 to 3 weeks, we wouldn't really be creating a new all-time high. So the confluence line in that post starts with mission all-time high. I've never really said about Bitcoin creating a new all-time high. We have taken so many long positions at 63k, at 55k, at 58k. I've never really said that this the new all-time high, this time we're going to create a new all-time high. But at this point in time, I was a little bit confident, and the main confidence was coming from the fact that there is this another chart that we need to focus on. Okay, so this is the chart, right? So we had this move, we had this break, we finally had this break above this channel, right? We were continuously trading in this channel for the past 8 to 9 months. We had a break above this channel, then we had a very beautiful retest at the upper boundary of this channel, and then we had this move towards upside. Okay, so this was a channel that I used to talk about in every single live stream of mine, that the moment the break above this channel happens, it's going to be a very impulsive break, and you would really get any opportunity to enter, right? And this is what exactly is happening. So if market makers, they have to make the price pump, or if they have to create a new all-time high, or if market has to go crazy, it's not going to give you any time to enter into long position, right? So you would have to play a little bit aggressive. Although I completely understand this is the end of the month, we have the monthly closing coming up, then we have so many important events coming up, so obviously the volatility is going to be there. But the point is that make sure you are playing with stop loss, make sure you have a limited number of positions open in one direction, make sure you have you're not using too high leverage, right? All these risk management steps you would take, and if everything goes well, this really is going to play out in our favor, in my opinion. So if a pullback happens, in my opinion, it's highly unlikely. If the break above 72k happens, it's highly unlikely that we would go back and retest 69k in the near future, right? And by near future, I mean to say next 2, 3, 4 days. But in case a pullback happens, this is your spot to go long, right? 69.5k, because it took us quite some time to break above this regions, and you can see that on the daily time frame chart also, that price has always reacted at this level. So in case something like this happens, in case we see a pullback down to 69.5k, this is your spot to go long, because so many important confluences present around 69,000 to 69,500. And it's not really important that price would always go back and fill the CME gaps. There are so many unfilled CME gaps present around 33k, 30,000, 43,000, 45,000, right? So that does not mean that every time we would go back and fill these CME gaps, right? This is just a made up thing. This is just a made up kind of thing. The price usually goes back and fills these CME gaps. I don't really want to sound like someone who is just bull posting, or who is someone who is just talking about the bullish scenarios. I've just completely laid out the map for you guys, that as long as USDT dominance chart, it's sitting somewhere in the middle of nowhere, you have the opportunity that you can go long. And another nice opportunity that you would get to go long is when the Bitcoin chart, it would go back down to 69,000, 69,500. And the reason why I say that it's going to be a very good opportunity is because notice on the USDT dominance chart, on the daily time frame chart, it took us almost like 4 or 5 months to break below this very important support level, break below this very important daily support region, which means that now it has simply just flipped into a resistance area. And this is the same thing that I wanted to talk about the Ethereum chart as well. People are actually curious about what exactly is going to happen with Ethereum. Why is Ethereum lagging a lot? The reason for this is because ETH, it took almost like 8 to 9 months for on the price chart for ETH to break below the $2,800 support. So $2,800 support, that was a very important level for the Ethereum chart, and it took us almost like 7 to 8 months to break below that very important support level. Now it's going to take an equal amount of effort. Now it's going to take an equal amount of time, effort, and huge buys, and a narrative also, to break above the $2,800 resistance area. That's how the supports turn into resistances turn into support. So if $2,800 region, anybody who is asking about the ETH chart, everything about the ETH chart is bearish as long as we are trading below $2,800 resistance area, right? And just like I mentioned, I'm not a breakout trader, so I'm not going to make a prophecy that on the ETH chart we are going to break above $2,800 or we'll go back to 4,000, 5,000. As long as it is staying below $4,000 region, nothing really is good. Not saying that it would go back to 1,800, not saying that it would go back to 2,100, 2,000, but I'm just trying to say that it would take an equal amount of effort, and half of that has already been done. For example, if I show you the ETH chart, this is the support level that I'm talking about, right? So you can see that this region, it was created back on 11th of February, right? We had a break above this region back on 11th of Feb. We had the first retest, we had the second retest, we had the third one, we had the fourth one, we had the fifth one, we had the sixth one, right? And it was kind of very obvious that the next time we would go back, that was going to be a very violent break. In case you're wondering that why we had a crazy break below this support level, the reason was because people were getting too confident about this support area. People were taking long positions over and over again. I'm talking about big accounts. They were saying that you are going to have the best possible opportunity if you would go long on ETH at $2,800. The result was all of them, they were liquidated because we had this crazy drop below $2,800 region, right? So in this case, you had like it took us almost like 7 to 8 months to break below this very important support level. And now we have seen that we had the first retest of this resistance area, second retest of this resistance area, this third one, this was the fourth one. So we have already seen almost like 4 or 5 retests happening of this very important resistance area. So just like I mentioned, it's going to take an equal amount of effort to break above the resistance area. Half of that has already been done. So high likelihood that the next time we would go back to $2,800 region, we could see a huge break above this resistance area. And it's going to be a very similar break, just like we saw happening in the case of this drop, because people are getting too confident about $2,800 region, that they are simply just loading their short positions over and over and over again, which means that the next time price, or the next time market makers decide to make the price break above this resistance area, it's going to be a very violent break. That's why I say that the first retest is always your single best opportunity to take a long or a short position. By the time you have second retest, the third retest, or the fourth retest, the chances of winning in that setup, they're significantly reduced, right? So this is everything about the ETH chart. It's almost literally dead, because in the daily time frame chart, you can just see that this is your support area and this is your resistance area. If you have to take a short position, play with a tight stop loss just above this level, and if you have to take a long position, just take a long position at this support with a tight stop loss. Or maybe what you can do is that you can simply just calculate the average of these two levels, and it's going to be a level somewhere around this region, 2400, 2500. That's where you can actually take a long position. But apart from that, I wouldn't really say that anything much is happening with the ETH chart. Let me see if we can draw any trend line on this. Yeah, so this is what I'm talking about. The moment we see a trend line break happening, it's going to look something like this. Okay, and there is every possibility that we'll see a trend line break this time, probably in the next 4, 5, 6, 7 days. But it has to happen, because obviously ETH, it's the ETF got approved, right, almost like 4 or 5 months ago. So it has some big narrative, right, and it has been dead for the past 4 or 5 months, which is not a good. I would say that the price for the ETH is probably, it's probably the most mispriced asset as of now. It's probably the most mispriced asset, because it should be sitting some. Bitcoin is literally 2%, 3% down from its all-time high, and this shit, it's almost 20%, 25% down from its all-time high, which makes absolutely no sense, right? Which makes absolutely no sense. So that's why I say that it's probably the most mispriced thing, right? I'm not talking about any other altcoin, I'm talking about ETH, right? It's a big market cap coin, it's the second largest cryptocurrency, and it's still behaving like a shit coin, which means that something really is up, something really would be happening. And the moment you see a break above, it's going to look like a very violent break. And that's why I'm saying that you need not to take any kind of short position. This is the trend line that we are looking at, right? Although it's not looking super neat, but the moment we see a break above, it's going to look like a very impulsive break on the. If ETH does not dump, means we are not having any altcoins rally. No, although usually the altcoins, the fate of the altcoins, usually it's being dictated by what exactly is going to happen with ETH. But quite recently, we have seen this correlation decrease a lot, right? So altcoins, they're moving in their own zone, right? They have their own narratives, because ETH has been dead for so long. Obviously, if you would see ETH pumping, that's going to have a huge impact on altcoins. But I wouldn't say that there is some kind of direct correlation between the two, right? There is no direct correlation. A direct correlation you can see looking at the ETH BTC chart. This is something that you need to take a look at, but that's going to be a very noisy chart, because just like I mentioned, it all depends on this resistance area and on this trend line. The moment you see a break above, it's going to be something very simple for you. Don't say shit, ETH isn't a shit, without ETH no bull run. Okay, fine enough. ETH is not a shit coin. But for me, the price action for ETH, it's literally just shit, right? Anyway, so the current long position I have is on FTM. Okay, so we have a long position on FTM open. That's the only risk that we are going to take. Okay, so at the current market price, because I still believe that FTM, it's a phantom, it's a good coin. It's still trying to. Once again, this is a kind of a risky position, because we are waiting for the reclaim of this level. The reclaim has not happened, which means that this is a kind of a really risky trade. What I would usually do is that I would wait for the break above, then I would wait for the consolidation, then I would wait for the retest part, and then I would go long on a certain asset. But in this case, I'm simply just going long when the reclaim of this level has not happened. But in my personal opinion, there are a few charts that always perform good. For example, we have FTM, we have few meme coins like Popcat, a cat in a dog's world we have. Then we have Sui is the another coin. It was actually lagging a lot, but you can see that during the past 24 hours we see this crazy move happening. We saw this crazy move happening, right? In this case also, I'm just waiting for the reclaim of this level, and then I would go long. And the rest of the positions we have, the one is on Dodge, and the second one is once again cat in a dog's world. These are the three positions that I'm looking at. I already have dropped the limits for you guys in the in my channel, in the swing positions channel, you can just take a look and just place the limits. So in this case, the only long position we are going with at the current market price, it's FTM, right? uh, Another reason for going long on FTM is 1 day 12 period exponential moving average. And you can see that FTM finally has reclaimed 1 day 12 period exponential moving average. We had some rejections around this spot, which means that even if it drops down a little bit, every possibility that we would have a successful retest at 1 day 12 period exponential moving average. I have, during the last live stream also, I talked about the importance of 1 day 12 EMA, right? So many things that have happened on the Bitcoin chart were mainly being dictated by 1 day 12 period exponential moving average, right? If I just give you an idea of this, let's start with the USDT dominance chart. Okay, if I just turn off the rest of these things, let me do it real quick. This is 3 day 12 and MTF 200 EMA. Okay, so in this case, you can see that we had rejection of MTF 200 EMA. Then price came back down on the USDT dominance chart. We had a bounce happening off the USDT dominance chart on 1 day 12 EMA. Then we had a break below. Then we gave the successful retest at 1 day 12 period exponential moving average, and we had a drop towards downside. Similar is the case on the Bitcoin chart also. You can actually see that there has not been a single instance during the past 2 to 3 weeks, ever since we had a break above 62K level. You can actually see that there has not been a single instance at which price had a break below, or price had a bearish break below this 1 day 12 period exponential moving average. This was the only instance, but in this case you can see that price fully reclaimed this level over again. So this was a successful retest. Price just goes back up, gives the successful retest, once again huge move, gives the successful retest, a move towards upside, gives a successful retest, a huge move towards upside. So you can imagine that 1 day 12 period exponential moving average, how important of a thing it really is. But the important part is that you wouldn't really be able to use the normal 1 day 12 period exponential moving average, the normal indicator that you would find on TradingView. This one has been specifically designed by me to visualize 1 day 12 period exponential moving average, not on the 1 day time frame chart, but actually in the 4 hour time frame chart, right? If you would like to just have access to this indicator, you can simply just open up a support ticket. We would give you free access to it, right? But once again, it's a very important indicator, and I'm not a big fan of indicators, but the only ones that I'm using are simply just based on averages, and these are not the ones that are giving you buy or sell signals. These are meant to be traded in a similar manner as you would trade the horizontal support and resistance levels, right? So over to you guys. Any chart requests that you may have, please make sure to drop them in the chat box. I will try my best to find a good position for you. Let's see what happens with BTC. I'm still hopeful that we would see a break towards upside, and maybe if we are lucky, we would see a full reclaim of this level. But the reclaim, that's going to be a kind of a difficult thing, because every possibility that USDT dominance chart, it's going to have a bounce off this level, because there is rarely any such thing happens where the USDT dominance chart, it fails to react at a certain level, right? So you can see that this was a support region, came back up, gave the rejection, and we had the rejection, came back down, we had the bounces happening, broke below, then we would have a bounce happening from around here, and then a consolidation around here, and finally we would have a drop down to 69.5k if we are lucky, and then we would have a move up to 5.20% on the USDT dominance chart, and you would have perfect confluences in terms of this retest at 5.20 level, because remember that this was a very strong support area, right? And now it has simply just flipped into a resistance area, which means that it is now an equally strong resistance, right? And then you have 1 day 12 period exponential moving average, and then you would have a few other confluences also. Obviously the Bitcoin chart, it's going to have an altogether different set of confluences, but 69.5k is a spot that you would go long at, right? If you still just manage to miss out on this whole move, right? You would have to wait for 69.5k, because at this moment we are still sitting in the middle of nowhere, right? Reef, please. What would you really want me to look at in the case of Reef? Because that literally is a shit coin. Although I cannot call ETH a shit coin, but Reef, I can definitely say about that. Uh, don't tell me that you are in a position on Reef. Okay, Tau. One of my student actually just last night, he shared a chart on Tau. Uh, that was based on a trend line breakout. But recently, I have not seen anything crazy happening with Dow. That's why I just did not share any kind of limit for it. Okay, this chart actually looks real good. One second, let me show you the daily time frame chart, right? Okay, so 72,000 finally. 72,000 finally, and just like I mentioned, there is every possibility of price going up to 72.8k. The reason, once again, I keep mentioning this, that the USDT dominance chart, it's still sitting in the middle of nowhere. I see that the founder and developer still active. Can it recover? Yes, they are active, and even when it dropped almost 85% down, they tweeted that they don't care about price or anything. They are simply just they're simply just uh, what would you call it? I don't know. They simply just said that they're focused on development, and that's why they don't care about what the price for their asset is, which is a kind of a stupid thing because it just dropped almost 85% down. So there must be kind of a reason, right? Binance wouldn't just delist any coin, right? They usually have a monitoring tag. So, okay, so this is a kind of an advice for you. We know that Binance, it's one of the biggest exchanges, right? It has the most amount of trading volume, the most amount of global trading volume, which means that if anything gets delisted over Binance, uh, that definitely is going to have a huge impact. Okay, so before you are entering into a new position, right, make sure to go to Binance. You can simply just download the Binance app even if you're not trading over it, and check out the name for that coin. And usually as soon as you would open up the chart, Binance usually have the monitoring tag for few coins, right? So if they notice that something crazy has been happening, some manipulation has been happening with the coin, or the developers, they are not doing anything, or the developers, they are not interested in doing anything, or they are not making any progress, the project is just kind of not making any progress, then they would try to delist that coin, right? But before they do that, for some months, for a few months, for a few days, for a few weeks, they would have this monitoring tag added to that coin, right? So as soon as you would open up the chart, you would, right at the bottom of the coin's name, you would notice this tag called monitoring, which means that they are monitoring this pair. And if they are monitoring a certain pair, then there is a likelihood that at some point in time they would just delist it, right? They are monitoring it for some kind of a reason, right? That's why it's just a sort of advice for you guys, that before you enter into a position, make sure to just check it out over Binance, right? Okay, so on the Rune chart, it's a good thing that price just had a break above this level. So thank you for sharing this chart. I would try my best to take a long position as soon as we see a retest of this level, because this is a very important level. If I just draw a horizontal line for you guys, so this is the level that we are talking about, right? A very important region. So high possibility that the next time price goes back down to this region, it's going to have a successful retest of this level. And I'm telling you, for the next 2 to 3 weeks, just shill as many coins as you can, just drop as many chart requests as you can in the charts, because a lot many of these coins, they're going to have successful retests of certain levels, right? Whenever you see a pump happening of this kind, usually prices would go crazy, then we would have a successful retest. Dodge is the one example, Mu is the another example. Rune, I'm just showing you that it took almost like 2-3 months, rejection, multiple rejection over the course of daily time frame. Then we had another rejection, another rejection, another rejection, which means that this is a very strong, or this was a very strong resistance area. Now that it has been flipped, it has been changed, or it has been flipped into an equally strong support region, which means that the next time price goes back down to this level, it's most probably going to have a bounce happening, right? If I look at the rest of these levels, it's a good thing that the 1-day 12 period exponential moving average, it's right below this very important level. If we talk about MTF 200 EMA, not sure if it's present around the same area, but good thing that the quarterly VWAP is also around in the same region. The this anchored VWAP is also in the same spot. And if I talk about the non-anchored VWAPs, okay, so the ELD VWAP also is in the same region. So it's a good thing that we have so many important layers of support present around this level right here, which means that this move, it's a kind of a sustainable move. So you can enter into a position that's going to look something like this. Okay, if you would drop down to some smaller time frame, maybe the hourly time frame chart, and then you can have a kind of a tight stop loss. Maybe a stop loss, you can simply just sit down below this low, right? But you would have to take into account a few other important things as well. And that's only going to be possible if this creates a new swing high. Since a new swing high has not been created, price is still in the process of creating a new swing high. So I wouldn't really be able to say anything because I have to eventually draw the fib levels from the swing low to the swing high. So I would definitely need some kind of uh, you know uh, some kind of level where I can actually imagine that price would go back down to that level. So since swing high has not been created, so I would simply just wait for price to create one, and then I would wait for the retest part. But in my personal opinion, this could be a good spot to go long, even a little bit higher also, although I would not recommend that, but even somewhere around this spot also, because this is the region that we're talking about. This would be much more apparent on the smaller time frame, but there is definitely level present around here. There is definitely a level present around here. I'm not using the rectangle tool because the chart, it would get a bit noisy, but there is a level present around here because on the 4 hour time frame chart you can actually see a wick around this region. If I drop down to the hourly time frame, okay, so there is definitely a level present around here, which means high likelihood that price would fall back down to this region where there is going to be a very aggressive long position, right? If I would draw the fib levels from the swing low to the swing high, just imagining that this happens to be the swing high, just in case, I would set the alerts around here. So if price happens to create a new all-time high, sorry, a new high, a new swing high, get notified. In this case, the good thing is that 65% level, it's perfectly matched with this spot. So maybe an aggressive long position around this spot with a very tight stop loss going to be below this level, right? Below this region. It's only going to be a 4% stop loss, and then you can target the next resistance area. This looks like a good position in my opinion. I would simply just set an alert around here. Maybe we can simply just play it as a scalp position, but a much more uh, efficient one, it's going to be around this spot because this is a very strong level that price just fully reclaimed. So in case you see a huge dump happening in which price would go back down to, on the Bitcoin chart, 69.5k, and obviously the USDT dominance, it would go crazy, you would see a huge pullback on altcoins. In that case, you would have to bet on this very important support area because this is a strong level, right? TIA please should be hedged for large pump or dump. Uh, I guess there was, yeah, so there was an unlock for TIA happening, right? If you would go into my channel, I shared a complete post for TIA that 4.8 was the level that I was looking at because let me open up the chart for TIA. I actually had a position on TIA, if you guys remember. I did not share it because I did not want to play with the news, right? Okay, so this was our position. It went up almost like 7%, 8%. Did not share the position, although I shared the chart. And because we have it a major token unlock happening on TIA, it's basically 16% of the total supply. So I wouldn't really touch it, right? To be very honest. I was looking at the order book and there was a huge buy order. There were huge buy orders present around 4.8 region. And that's why I mentioned, that's why I told people that, maybe if you would like to have a very aggressive long, you can take it around $4.8 region. But in my personal opinion, it's very risky to touch this coin right now because you cannot really predict what exactly could be happening with the token unlocks, right? Token unlocks, they are sometimes bullish. We have the example for Sui. Token unlocks, they are sometimes extremely bearish. And in this case, TIA has been doing the exact opposite, which means that so far it has been an extremely bearish thing on TIA. So, it has already dropped almost 20%, 30%. There is a guy called Crypto Rover or something like that, if you remember, the most stupid person on crypto Twitter space. He has like 1 million followers. I don't know. He just chills very stupid coins, right? So just when TIA was trading almost 2, 3, 4 days ago, around $6.8 or maybe $6.5, he shared a post saying that I'm buying TIA worth $80,000, and that's when I knew that okay, this one is about to drop crazy, right? Because if you would go and search on Twitter, if you would go and search on Twitter the symbol for TIA, you would notice that every big account has been continuously shilling TIA for the past 2 weeks, which is a big red flag. Okay, and that so far has played out absolutely uh, in an absolute perfect manner because you see all these big accounts, they were continuously shilling TIA, And look what just happened. We had this move from 6.3, 6.4 down to 4.8, and it has still not stopped, right? We are still sitting on this very important support region. By the way, if any one of you are in this position on PRCL, make sure to just book your profit, book some profits. The final TP is somewhere around here. It's already up to 27%. I guess it was only shared in premium. It was not shared in public. So yeah, if you just took the call, make sure to just book profits around here. Okay. And any other chart requests that you guys may have, where do we put them? Chart request channel? No, if you have any chart request, you can simply just drop them in the chat box right here, where you just wrote this text. But in case you would like me to analyze it right now, but if in case it's there is no rush, there is no urgency, you can simply just drop them in the chart requests channel. Okay, let's take a look at Tau also. So on Tau, we actually had a short position. We got stopped break even after like 5%, 6% downside move. This was a short position, but I have been a little bit reluctant on taking any long position on Tau because since it was actually the best performer for the past 1 month or so. So it's kind of very obvious that price action is lagging in comparison to the rest of the altcoins, because you can actually see this thing. We have not retested this level, and we had this crazy move towards upside 88%. It's basically an AI coin, and so anytime any such thing happens, it usually becomes kind of very obvious that capital rotation is happening. So capital is rotating from the coins that have already outperformed the rest of the market and is flowing into the rest of the coins. Like in this situation right now, we are seeing that capital is mostly flowing from AI coins and going into meme coins. We have Dodge, we have Mew, we have Bobcat, we have Boom, we have so many other things, right? So that's what exactly is happening, right? And this was the reason for taking the short position on Tau, because we had the break below the trend line, then we went back, gave the retested this area, and then we had moved towards downside. I need not to explain why exactly price dropped back down to this level, because it's kind of very obvious. All those people who had their long positions had placed their stop losses down below these lows. So it's kind of very obvious how we had a break below this trend line. But in any case, there is another trend line information. If I'm not wrong, I guess it should look something like this, although it would be much more visible on the hourly time frame chart. Okay, so this is the trend line that we are looking at, right? So, and this is a support that we are talking about, although it's going to be a very risky position. But in case you're interested in going long, then I would suggest doing so at this region, right? At the retest of this level. Just like I mentioned, that in comparison to the rest of the altcoins, it's going to lag a lot, probably for the next 1-2 weeks, because it already had this crazy move towards upside. So it's kind of very obvious thing. But in case you wish to go long, this is your spot, right? Let's just forget about it, and probably a retest of this level, stop loss at this region, and then you can simply just target this resistance area. This is going to be a first TP, and then this region right here, okay? Because there were two almost relative equal highs present around here. So this is the position for Tau. Although I'm not extremely confident about this, because just like I mentioned, this is still hourly time frame chart. There are going to be little too many levels, resistance levels present around, for example, the one is present around here. Okay. So you can see that it's not going to be an easy move for Tau. But in case you would like to catch a small move, you would like to play a scalp on Tau, this is your spot to go long on Tau. Luna or Floki? I'm not sure about Luna, because Luna is being pumped by shillers, honestly, because every now and then there would be this big CT account. They would shill Luna endlessly, and then it would have a pump 25%, 50% sometimes, and then it would simply just dump the same way, right? So I'm not sure about Luna, but Floki, yep, we can take a look at Floki. Add a shot, okay. It just bounced off the support region, which means that if I just remove Okay, so we have a resistance area at this level. So you can expect it to go up to this region at least, okay? You can expect a movement up to this level, right? Because just like I mentioned in the case of the Bitcoin chart also, price seems to be sitting in the middle of nowhere right now. So, you can still expect a move up to this region. That's where I would set the alerts, because you see that we had the rejection of this area, rejection, and it's not actually a good thing that price has seen so many rejections happening around this level. Although I still believe that ADA, it's literally just a shit coin, right? uh, all the coins that already outperformed during the previous cycle, do not expect them to pull out something crazy for you guys, right? They're not going to give you 10x, 20x, 30x. Yeah, it's definitely a shit coin, right? So in this case, you can expect a move up to this resistance area, and most probably we are going to have a reclaim of this level also, because already price has seen so many rejections happening around this region. So in case you are in a short position, let's see if there is any relief for you. No, because in this case it's still sitting on the 4-hour time frame chart. It's sitting above. The bad thing here is that it has fully reclaimed this 1 day 12 period exponential moving average. So in this situation, there should be actually a long position. If it was not really a shit coin, that I would have definitely taken a long position up something like this. Okay, keeping a tight stop loss, something like this, and I would have taken a long position. But since it's a shit coin, I would not do that. And once again, the bad thing in your case is that now it seems to have reclaimed, although it's not something that's uh, it's not something that's very obvious that price wouldn't break below this 1 day 12 period exponential moving average. Every now and then it would do so, but as of now, price is bouncing off 1 day 12 period exponential moving average, seems to have fully reclaimed. And I would tell you that every possibility that's about to go back up to this level, right? What's happening with Dodge? 72,200. Congratulations. Bonk. Okay. Turn on VWAP. Okay, let's turn on VWAP. This seems like a kind of an order, right? Less of a request and more of an order. Turn on VWAP. Okay, sir, I just turned on the VWAP, and you can see that price, yes, seems to be a bit stagnant around this spot. And this is the kind of position that you would like to avoid. The reason for this is because it's sitting right at the resistance area and it's sitting right at the support region. It's kind of a sandwich situation, which means that you're in a kind of sandwich situation. And there is, although I would say there is 50% probability that anything could be happening, but in this case a small rejection already happened from VWAP. Okay, and we already saw this rejection also happening from VWAP, this huge rejection happening from VWAP, this huge rejection happening from VWAP, which means that the VWAP seems to have already played its role, and now it's time to break above the VWAP, right? This is what I'm telling you. What crypto does Jim Cramer own? I cannot tell you not to own crypto. I own Ethereum. So he is basically, for those of you who don't know Kramer, he is basically the reverse indicator. So anything you do, just do the opposite of it. So in this case, since he owns Ethereum, it's more of a reason, there is another reason not to own Ethereum, just because Kramer owns it. Okay. Yeah. He is basically called the reverse indicator. His name is reverse indicator. FTM is a bit stagnant around this spot. I don't know why, but PRCL, I'm glad it's going crazy. How many of you took this position for PRCL? Although I still had positions for Mu, I had the one for Popcat, and I had the one for JUP. I simply just messed all three of these. I'm not super proud of that. I actually had one on SXP also, because I was expecting price on the Bitcoin chart to give another retest back at 68k. So I just missed out on all of these long positions, and this was the only one that we actually went with. Will we get a dump before all-time high? I'm not sure. Just like I mentioned too, I've been saying this over and over again. It's a kind of a repetition thing, but please, the USDT dominance chart, it's sitting in the middle of nowhere. There is nothing that would stop USDT dominance right now. So it's kind of very obvious that Bitcoin is going up, and it has to go up. It will go up almost up to 72.8k, because the USDT dominance, it's sitting in the middle of nowhere. There is nothing, there is no floor for USDT dominance, right? there is no floor for USDT dominance to which means that there is no ceiling for Bitcoin to drop down to. So I'm not saying that Bitcoin would reclaim $72,000 spot. It would just give probably a fake out above 72K, 72.8K, and then it would drop back down. And that's when, USDT dominance, it would simply just fall back up from this high time frame support. At least that's the thesis, right? Because I've noticed that USDT dominance almost reacts at every single level, almost every time. RLC, please, would cat related coins follow PopCat after? I'm not sure about one cat. One cat is an extremely illiquid coin, although it's listed over Bybit. We have traded it in a few scalps, but not sure about one cat. But I'm sure about PopCat, and then there is this another one called Mew, Cat in a Dog's World. If there are any other cat coins, you can just let me know. They recently launched this another coin called Dog in a Cat's World. So Mew, it's basically cat in a dog's world, and they launched this coin called Dog in a Cat's World. So this is literally a crazy world, right? Tia, I already did the analysis on Tia. I just told you that it's sitting on the support, but because of the token unlocks, there is nothing really you could do about it. Bonk. Okay, let's take a look at Bonk. I already have a long position on Dodge. I have already shared the limits with you guys. You can check it out in my channel. Which means that I'm expecting Dodge. Okay, let me first of all do it in Dodge because I hope nobody is short on Dodge because it's kind of going crazy. This is a fractal that I'm talking about. So in this case, if you would draw fibs, you would notice that this was the first instance at which price reacted around this level. Then price went back up. We had small rejection around 127%. You would notice this on the smaller time frame, but thanks to Elon Musk, thanks to his tweet, that price failed to react around at this level. And then we had another rejection at 161.8%, 170.5%. And now I'm expecting the price to drop down to 127%. And that's where we have placed our long limits. Okay, so it's kind of very obvious what I'm expecting on Dodge. In my opinion, it's going to be the top performer in the next 2 to 3 months. You are definitely going to see a 50%, 100% move, a new all-time high probably on Dodge. And it's kind of a free signal for all of you, the Dodge thing. But you would have to find a good entry, right? And this in my opinion is going to be an extremely good one. This 127% level retest, 72,316. Yeah, as long as USDT dominance, it's just hanging like this. Obviously, Bitcoin, it would go up. Just wait for the retest of this level. Okay, so let's take a look at Bonk and Whiff. And then we would end the live stream, and this one is going to be uploaded over YouTube. I would try my best to, okay, it's called 1000 Bonk. Yeah. Okay, this one is actually trading under major resistance areas right now. We are still trading under 1 day 12 period exponential moving average, under quarterly VWAP. So not an extremely good chart, I would say. If I just remove all of these lines, this is what I'm talking about, right? Although this is a kind of a cluttered chart, a very noisy chart, but you would get the idea that this is the resistance area I'm talking about, right? At least this is the level that you need to be a bit careful about. Which means that unlike the others, it's not going anywhere right now. It's not going to go crazy immediately. You still need to look at this level. You still need to see a flip of this level happening, because historically speaking also this is a very important level. So if you need to go long on Bonk, you would need to see something like this, retest, and then move towards upside. I'm not good at drawing, but something like this. RLC, Tau explosion soon. It's breaking above the trend line, but just like I mentioned, I'm not super optimistic about Tau. Anything could be happening, but I'm just not interested in trading it right now. I'm more interested in FTM and more interested in the fact that why is it lagging a lot, right? In comparison to the rest of the major market caps, because FTM already had a move towards upside, but I am wanting to see a bigger move, but nothing really is going to happen as long as Bitcoin is going crazy and Bitcoin dominance is going crazy. You see how big of an impact you see. the last drop that we saw, the last drop that we saw happening on the Bitcoin dominance chart immediately resulted in altcoins going crazy. And now, even though Bitcoin is going crazy, 72,000, almost very close to the new all-time high, the altcoins, they still are lagging around. They're still being dragged a lot, right? So let's just wait and see what happens. Okay, what was the chart that we were looking at? Okay, so bonk, this is the idea. You need to see a flip of this level first of all, because it may happen, it may not happen, but at least this is the level that you need to be careful about. If I draw it much more precisely, then it's going to look something like this. RLC, okay. You guys have been stuck in the positions. The chart requests that you guys are sending are basically the coins that are from previous cycles, mostly. So, just try to go with the trend. Just try to trade some meme coins. Like, we have example for Mew, we have example for Popcat, Soul based coins, Soul beta coins, Sui based coins, and other similar coins, right? Instead of just going with these coins for which the narratives they've already played out. Does MP VWAP work well in scalping? It works well in almost every situation, right? It's simply just quarterly and yearly VWAP. It completely depends on you, how you would like to use it, but yeah. Okay, so similar is the case with RLC, just like I mentioned with Bonk. This is the level that we are talking about, right? It's sitting on this important level. So as long as it is below the level, below this resistance area, do not expect it to pull out something crazy. Although in terms of dynamic levels, it's a good thing that sitting above the levels, which means that I would set the alerts around here and I would wait for the flip of this level. And if it goes back, gives a retest, this is going to be an important spot to go long. But right now, just like most of the other altcoins, it's simply just sitting at the resistance area, right? Even on the daily time frame chart, this is the level that I'm talking about. If I just remove it, 1 second. You just need to see a flip of this level happening. Even more important is this one on the daily time frame chart. So remember that if you're waiting for something crazy to happen, that may not really happen until and unless these levels are flipped. Because see, it's still trading under a major resistance area. So you need to be a little bit watchful about trading these coins. Okay, this one is the last coin that I'm looking at, and then we would end the live stream and it will be uploaded over YouTube. Near. I've almost always avoided trading near because I don't know, for some reason the price action, it always looks kind of noisy to me, always kind of cluttered to me. But you can see that this is the position that I'm looking at, a good retest of this level, so you can go long basically. If I look at the dynamic levels, okay, so not a good position because it's still trading under these very important dynamic levels. Let's see if we have a possibility of a breakout. Yes, there is a possibility of a breakout. Even the daily time frame chart, on the 4-hour time frame chart, I just try to it actually looks like a good spot to enter if you see a breakout happening. But this is your main problem. You see, this is the problem for you right now. That price is trading below this level. You can see this clearly. So rejection came back up, bounce, came back down, and it's most probably going to have a rejection around here. And there is 1 day 12 period exponential moving average and quarterly VWAP. So you would like to see something like this, in which a small move downside, then a move up like this, and then a crazy move like this, which is once again a very far-fetched idea. So on the near chart, it's still trading under this level. All you have to do is just simply take out your tools and draw simple support resistance levels, right? Okay, guys, that's it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed the live stream. If you may have any questions, you can simply just ping me in the general chat and the premium chat. I will try to get back to you as soon as possible.